Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we've got a spicy one that top 8 a challenge recently. This is a Chain of Smog Combo deck with Necropotence in. So we've played Necropotence decks on the channel before. You draw a bunch of cards, you set yourself up in a winning position. So this deck is saying we're not just going to set ourselves up in a winning position, we're going to actually have a combo that just wins the game. And that combo is Witherbloom Apprentice plus Chain of Smog. So the way this works is whenever you cast or copy an instant and sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it doesn't target either. So you cast Chain of Smog, target yourself. Chain of Smog, you discard 2 cards and then you get to copy it and choose a new target. So we can target ourselves again. And every copy we do is going to drain them for 1 with the Witherbloom Apprentice. Now obviously we end up losing all of our cards. If our opponent has interaction, it's very good and can stop us. But that's where things like Thoughtseize come in, where we can make sure that the coast is clear. Same with Duress. We've sort of got this tucked into like a package of like disruptive good black creatures. So we've got ourselves Dauthi Voidwalker, Orcish Bowmasters and Sheoldred. And we just got interaction with the Fatal Push and Dark Ritual to push it all out. We've got Lotus Petal as well for a little bit of acceleration. We've got Underground Mortuary we can go and choose for a tiny bit of selection. And then we've got some Wastelands to again try and disrupt some things our opponent's doing a little bit until we can put our win into play. I'm curious to see how this one actually plays out. Our sideboard is very, very clean here. So we've got 4 Leylines for graveyard decks, 4 Abrupt Decays when we need to blow stuff up, 4 Disruptor Flutes for varying combo decks and things we need to suppress, a couple of Mindbreak Traps for the Storm style decks, and then another Sheoldred to punish card draw. So between Bowmasters and 4 Sheoldreds, we can really punish decks trying to draw additional cards. And that, lovely people, is it. It's a pretty simple looking deck list, quite straightforward. I've just recorded a really long league, so I'm looking forward to jamming this, hopefully quicker one where we're going to just steamroller people with this Chain of Smog combo. Like, subscribe, sit back, enjoy. If you've been watching my content and thinking, I'd like to play some Legacy too, then check out 3for1 Trading, one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. They have weekly offers and upload new cards every Wednesday. And it's not just Legacy stuff they sell. They have a beautiful selection of vintage and old school cards too. Support from sponsors like 3for1 Trading make it possible for me to put out videos and help keep Legacy alive, so why not give them some love? Click their link in the description below and use my code COW3 to enjoy free worldwide shipping on your first order over €500. This hand doesn't really do anything or go anywhere. I think we need to mulligan this. Am I down for a triple Wasteland cheese game? Like, I'm not down for it. Alright, let's go for the cheese game. Like, our deck is a little bit cheesy anyway, so. A Duress. Sure, I like having cards that do things. Polluted Delta. We're getting a non-basic, please. We're getting nothing. Okay. A Duress. So we can force some action with this Duress. And then see if they fetch land we can Wasteland. The downside here is our opponent can brainstorm and hide cards. Right, there is a non-basic at least. A Brainstorm. Sure. So they're going to hide some cards. I'm guessing they're probably Blue-Black Reanimator because that's like a huge amount of the meta right now. MTG Goldfish has it listed at like 20% of the meta, but I think it feels like a lot more than that at the moment. Brainstorm, Ponder, Ponder. Okay, we take the Brainstorm. So we got Ponders, we got Tamios, all the good stuff. Let's Wasteland this Underground Sea. Let's play this Wasteland and pass. So our opponent probably has to get a basic island for this one. The Bloodstone Mire. They're getting non-basics. That's kind of brave. So this must be a Doomsday deck. That would make some sense. Oh, maybe not. We're having a Tomb here. Are they going to reanimate this turn as well? That's an Atraxa. They're reanimating the Atraxa. I guess we play the card we have here. Yes, they just had it and they just brainstormed and saved it. Yikes. At least they didn't really know what we're doing. A whole bunch of things here. So they're going to have a Force of Will protecting this. I think we can probably just call it a day there and go to the next game. Leyline of the Void is actively bad against our opponent's deck most of the time because they board around it quite easily and you're just left with this dead card. It's not ideal. I don't mind the Shoulder of the Apocalypse. I think a Dauthi Voidwalker is the better graveyard hate and we're just going to rely on that. Don't mind having another Shoulder, although it's a thing they can discard from our hand. How much do I like the Fatal Pushes? They can kill a Tamiyo and that's about it. I think if it was only killing Tamiyo, we should just have Abrupt Decays instead, because the Abrupt Decays can always hit either side of the Tamiyo. I'm not going to board in the Leylines. If I had Fairy Macabres, I would think about boarding them in, but I don't think I want the Leylines against the Reanimator deck. It's just so bad having a card that doesn't do anything in certain matchups. Okay. we get to disrupt our opponent's hand, and then we can surveil land and dig towards our little win condition. Let's get this Thoughtseize on the go. Dauthi Voidwalker, Animate Dead, Force of Will, Merchant Regent. Interesting selection of things. What is the take here? We could just take their threats. I'm kind of more fearful of Animate Dead than anything else. Like, yes, we are trying to resolve some combo-y stuff, but we need to respect the fact that our opponent is also a combo deck. An Entomb. Okay, so we made them bin off the Entomb. So just where we took the Animate Dead, really. Sure, let's Wasteland our opponent. Let's Thoughtseize. Force of Will, Dauthi Voidwalker, Murktide. I'm going to take this Murktide Regent. Oh, it's not showing us the cards. It's away at the wrong time. Okay, so we need to remember they've got Dauthi Voidwalker in there, among other things. They have the Force and another Force. They left the card on top with the Surveil. Right, and then we're just going to play out this Verdant Catacombs. We could fire the Chain of Smog and just leave everyone back, try and leave everyone with nothing. I don't think that's a great solution here. They're going to play Dauthi Voidwalker. We're going to Surveil land in response. Let's get this Underground Mortuary. A Wasteland. I don't think our opponent has more lands, but we're not really about Wastelands right now. We're just trying to assemble our bits and pieces. Alright, an Orcish Bowmasters is good enough to get a Force of Will, I suspect. I will play out this land. I'll pass. So I left a card on top. What sort of things did you leave on top? A Ponder or a Brainstorm? A Brainstorm. Okay, so this is going to get the counterspell off of our opponent. They're going to Force of Will this. Good. So now the coast is clear if we draw our little Witherbloom Apprentice friend. And we can play around a daze because of the Lotus Petal. Oh, really? Thoughtseize is really brutal here. So we lose a Chain of Smog. Goodbye, combo potential. Now, we can still just draw the Necrodominance. And because the Dauthi Voidwalker is tapped, we don't have to worry about Bowmasters. Because there is a Bowmaster underneath this in the exile zone. A Dark Ritual, you say? Well, that's very useless. It's not completely useless. It does mean we can do some stuff, perhaps. Like, if we... I guess we don't have that many instants, right? It's not like the other all-in Necrodominance decks. We kind of are just using it as a draw engine to then set up for the next turn. We now have a bunch of pitch spells like the Pitch Black deck. Another Polluted Delta. Okay. We crack all our lands, it takes a whole turn off the clock. We're running out of life to put into a Necrodominance as well. Maybe we are just supposed to put in the Leyline. But like, Leyline doesn't really change this game at all. We just end up with one less card in hand and just get beaten down by Dauthi Voidwalker. I guess maybe we don't have to take the Animate Dead with our Thoughtseize, if that's the case. Okay, so we need to draw like Sheoldred. Another Dauthi Voidwalker. We are very dead. Chain of Smog. Alright, we're just done here. We're dead on board. Yep, absolutely brutal. That matchup looks horrible, which makes me wonder how this top 8 a little bit. But we're only one game into the league. And maybe our hands weren't the strongest. I think we definitely have some stronger hands going. And we were a bit unfortunate our opponent drew a Thoughtseize, but we still needed to draw the other half of our combo anyway. But yeah, a deck like this where it's just got really good interaction for what we're doing, both in our hand and on the stack, is a lot to ask. Let's go to round 2. Alright, this hand is a little bit more promising than what we had in the first round. So there is actually an interesting decision to be made here. Because we can save this Polluted Delta to trigger our Revolt for Fatal Push to kill something like a Baragoyf that's a bit bigger. Or we can play this with the option of maybe trying to Surveil land on turn 1. But what are we trying to Surveil into on turn 2? We already have like a bunch of stuff. I guess Hand Disruption maybe? I think I'm just going to play out this Swamp though. And save this Polluted Delta for Revolt for later on. Because we're not going to be amazing at getting Revolt. It's going to be Fetch Lands and Lotus Petals. And we're not like a super Fetch Land deck anyway. So our opponent could be a Reanimator deck. So I think we have to play this Dauthi Voidwalker out. Just go front foot forwards. They could just Entomb in response and this Dauthi Voidwalker does nothing. Alright, an island. A big dragony island. Okay, so we don't have to worry about Graveyard in the immediate future. Now our opponent might just not be a Graveyard based deck anyway. This could be Bug Beans, the Verdant Catacombs and the Flood Strand. That kind of makes sense. It's like, this is going to be like the 10th fetch land. We could still be just straight blue-black. Could be Doomsday. There's still a lot of options what our opponent could be putting down. Thoughtseize. Okay. Are you going to take my combo piece or are you going to take my good card? Depends how our opponent feels they can handle. Okay, they don't want to mess around with the combo. I'll take that. Wowzers trousers. We would have had it as well. We got in their exile zone. I'm not going to Thoughtseize them. I'm going to leave this popped out just so we know what we have access to with the Dauthi Voidwalker in future turns. I can play Bowmasters now, and that just stops them from playing a whole bunch of things. I think that's correct. So they can't just ponder in their turn or hold up Brainstorm around our Bowmasters and we play this game of chicken. If they have a Bowmaster of their own, that can be annoying, but we can kill a Bowmasters with a Fatal Push if we care about it. And Bowmasters isn't great against us unless we have the Necrodominance out. Alright, so we get our Surveilline going. We might be able to Thoughtseize off of this Dauthi Voidwalker this turn, if that's the thing we think is going to work for us. Okay, if we can find the Witherbloom Apprentice, we can crack this Dauthi Voidwalker and try and Thoughtseize our opponent. We don't need another land. A Chain of Smog. Is our opponent going to want to play that game with us? Maybe, maybe not. If they Chain of Smog back. Alright, I'll play this land out. And I'm going to just Chain of Smog them. If they throw it back, then they lose more cards themselves. So they might just take 2 cards here. But if they lose anything good, then Dauthi Voidwalker can bring it back. So it puts them in a bit of an awkward spot. Right, they're just discarding 2 cards. Are we sending it back? I didn't think you would. I'm not going to tap the Bowmasters itself. Could be something like a Hull Breacher. We don't really know what our opponent's up to entirely. Petty Theft. Okay. Are we getting reanimated on in the near future? Like, I think we have to just replay it. Alright, so just have the Entomb here. I guess the other line we had was to Chain of Smog them. But they might not have the reanimation. They might just be putting something in the graveyard for later. Because once it's in, Dauthi Voidwalker can't take it out. Alright, there's an Atraxa. Do you have it, opponent? Or are you just preparing for something you can draw? Alright, they are reanimating the Atraxa. This is going to put them to 4 life. And give them a whole bunch of cards. We've seen it many times before. So we get what? Thoughtseize definitely. Tamiyo definitely. And they choose between Daze, Brainstorm, and Entomb. It's probably Daze. I don't really want to Brainstorm when we have a Bowmasters out. So they chose Underground Sea, which they've then played, Thoughtseize, Daze, Tamiyo. And they're playing out Tamiyo as well, so they just have the Daze left. Okay. How do I make my opponent take 1 damage here? We draw Bowmasters. We drew a Bowmasters. Interesting. We know they've got a Daze. Right, let's just play this Bowmasters. I was thinking about trying to get cute with this Chain of Smog, but I just don't think that's working for us. Right, then we attack for 3 damage with our Dauthi Voidwalker. Have we got it? We got Fail Push. A Brazen Borrower. Sure, and then if we try and play this and they just Daze it, they gain 7 life next turn. Like, we can just combo them. If we play this, they have to spend their Daze, which means that we're live to draw the combo next turn. Now, they might not spend a Daze on this. Right, they do spend the Daze, which gives us the possibility of drawing the combo next turn. That's our only way out here. I think it's important to try and stay positive in this current legacy realm we find ourselves in. It's very easy to just sink into a stupor and complain about what's happening here. And the obvious mistake they made. But we get to play some cool Witherbloom Apprentice decks and have a bit of fun. Oh, really? I thought these as well. Alright, I don't want to play that anymore. Okay, let's stay positive. Okay. Should we try it this time with the Leylines? I don't think the Leylines are very good in the matchup, to be honest with you. But we'll try them. And again, we're going to make the same thing with our Fatal Pushes and replace them with Abrupt Decays. Where are the Leylines going? Probably don't really want to be wastelanding our opponent very much. Maybe the Sheoldreds. We don't want too many of those because our opponent can reanimate them. We'll try this. I don't think the Leylines are that good in this matchup at all. Like, they're brilliant against Oozle spells. But against Blue Eye Reanimator, they just, you know, hit you with their fair plan and then maybe at some point can go, oh, okay, we're in a situation where we can just Brazen Borrow with this. Because their deck only plays 10 cards for their graveyard combo. So they can happily just play with the rest using Ponders and Brainstorm. So it's just not the card you want in that matchup, really. Okay, we're kind of playing a fair game here. But we do need to break up our opponent's combo. Okay, we kind of need to respect Wasteland as well. So I'm just going to get a basic Swamp. Brazen Borrower. Tamiyo. Jeez. How are we going to get through all of this? We take the Brainstorm so we can maintain the information we have, and it stops a Tamiyo flipping early. But we don't care about Tamiyo because we have the Abrupt Decay, which answers the Tamiyo. So I think that's the plan. I think we're going to take this Force of Will. So that I think we have to try and combo our opponent at some point. And that's kind of where we need to go with that. If our opponent immediately draws a Thoughtseize and like takes our Abrupt Decay and just sets themselves up to Tamiyo flip, then we're going to have a horrible time. That is what our opponent's deck can do. Right, just the little Tamiyo on its own. Okay, that's some way towards where I'd like to be. Another Witherbloom Apprentice. I'm kind of into it, just having two. Let's play out this Lotus Petal. So our opponent goes for a Brainstorm, we can go for the Bowmasters. If they don't, then we can just chill out. Are we going to start taking upstairs or not? Okay, so Drew and an Underground Sea at some point. They always have the old Thoughtseize, don't they? So we don't have any good options here whatsoever, right? No, we have one option, right? So if we go Dark Ritual... Yes, okay, here's what we're doing. We're going to go Dark Ritual in response. We know all the cards in their hand at this point. Okay, so they let us resolve that. So now we will... If we shoot this... Yeah, we shoot this and they try and flip it. And then we can Bowmasters our way in. This is exactly why I kept the Witherbloom Apprentice on top. Okay, I would like to... Would I even like to Orcish Bowmasters here? I think so. I'd rather take this Witherbloom Apprentice that does nothing on its own anyway. Yep. So they played around us having the Bowmasters here. I think it was relatively telegraphed, unfortunately. And they do have a Bowmasters to clean up our Bowmasters soon as well. It's just how it be sometimes. Now we have to decide, are we playing around removal spells our opponent has? Or are we playing around hand disruption? Are we going to play out this second Witherbloom Apprentice? Or are we going to... I think we should play it around because we can beat down. It's a 2-2, so it is okay into our opponent's board. And maybe we get a few little incidental life drains here and there. And if we get Wastelanded off of green at some point, we can still draw, you know, swamps and get our Chain of Smog off. So let's just play this guy out. They might hold the Bowmasters to try and block this. They obviously have Brazen Borrow, which they can maybe use to mess with us here. Okay, so they're going to ping down our Bowmasters. That's going to unlock their cantrips. Chain of Smog. Our opponent has 1 mana up. I guess we go for it here. Like, if we wait, then we just play into so many different things our opponent can have. Because if they get untapped, then they get 2 cards next turn. They're obviously a cantrip deck, so they can find more cantrips and stuff. We're doing this now. Okay, they had the Fatal Push as well. Jeez. How are we supposed to beat this matchup? Like, unless our opponent plays really badly, I don't know how we're ever supposed to get through. Yes, our opponent's been having some pretty good draws against us with this Blue-Black Reanimated deck. But this is what the deck is. It's just a bunch of really efficient interaction. So they probably attack with the Orc Army. Or are they just going to sit back and then play the Borrower and play that as their beatdown plan? Sure, if they have a Bowmasters, we kind of lose that guy anyway. Match High Regent, yep. I don't know how we beat that one. We have to like draw runner, but then we still lose the Brazen Borrow we know about. Yeah, I think we're just going to scoot this one up. I don't understand how this deck can ever beat Blue-Black Reanimator. Which seems a bit worrying. But it did top 8 challenge, so maybe I'm missing something. Let's go to round 3. Yeah, I'll keep this one. Duress into Shoulder of the Apocalypse. That makes me happy. Alright, so they've got a fetch hand. They might be playing blue, which means they can get a Brainstorm off in response to our Duress, so maybe we don't get as much stuff as we would like. We could, if we're feeling really like up for it, we could Dark Ritual, then Duress, and see what they do. Because maybe we could play the Dauthi Voidwalker or the Bowmasters. Maybe that's better than Sheoldred. Alright, let's try this out. So we could play the Dauthi Voidwalker and try and put something good underneath it. But I think we don't know if we want to Bowmasters or not. So our opponent might try and Brainstorm to protect from Duress, and then we punish them with the Bowmasters. They could have a Daze to bounce it back to their hand and counter our Bowmasters. We'll find out, I guess. Alright, here we go. This is going to be main deck Veil of Summer out of an Omnitail deck. It is main deck Veil of Summer out of an Omnitail deck. Yeah, that sucks. I think I'm going to play the Dauthi Voidwalker now. Because if we find a Thoughtseize, Dauthi Voidwalker is really good about that. Because what the Dauthi Voidwalker can do is we can Thoughtseize like an Emrakul and just cast the Emrakul. That gives us a much better high roll. And then next turn, like, they don't even cantrip that often. A lot of their things are like Impulse and the stock ups and that sort of genre of card where we don't actually get anything for having a Bowmaster in play. Now, they do obviously run Brainstorm and Ponder. So it's not like it does nothing. But I think Dauthi Voidwalker gives us the best high roll for next turn. Alright, if they're playing tap lands, we can prey upon that with our Wasteland. I would like to actually get this Bowmasters down at some point. They might be in an awkward situation where they've got something on top they don't want, but they also don't want us to have it. A stock up. Ooh, I like stock ups. A Thoughtseize. So we now have the exact high roll that I was talking about just now. It's going to look really smart when it all comes together properly. A Spell Pierce. Ooh, I don't know that very much. Alright, I guess we just take out one of their lands and start cracking in. Well, we could hold back the Dauthi Voidwalker as a Spell Pierce that we can maybe use. But that's just no good, because then we're not dealing damage and our opponent just gets more draw steps. And that's exactly what they want here. Yep, a Ponder. Our Orcish Bowmasters would have dodged the Spell Pierce. But the high roll of, if we Thoughtseize, hit our opponent, get their Emrakul, we win the game. That feels amazing. Even just getting like an Omniscience, we can play that and just play out our hand, is reasonable, and it stops them having it. They did not shuffle. They have a basic land. They have a Lotus Petal. We have a Lotus Petal. Okay. Are we supposed to hold up for the Spell Pierce now? I think yes this time. Because we have another piece of pressure that we can apply in this Bowmaster. Ancient Tomb. Spell Pierce is pretty handily covered here. Oh, it's a stock up. You can stock up, opponent. So this Spell Pierce, looking a little bit on the sketchy side. We could try and stock up ourselves. Is that better than just having a Dauthi Voidwalker though? Again, we can just find a discard spell. I am going to deploy our Bowmasters, get some more pressure on the board. Now they play this Ancient Tomb, it does make me not want to have the Spell Pierce ready. So we kind of just missed out on 3 damage last turn. Alright, a Brainstorm. Not really a shocker. I'm not going to Spell Pierce a Brainstorm here. We're threatening the Bowmasters. They couldn't Brainstorm into the combo this turn. Or they didn't want to at the very least. Okay, so let's ping them. Necrodominance that we can't cast. Very exciting. I guess we just crack in. There is a possibility that if our opponent puts in an Omniscience and we put in this Sheoldred, we might be able to stop them from getting their combo off. Because they won't be able to like cast cantrips without it hurting them too much. Kind of the line we're working with right now. If we'd have attacked last turn with this, we would have lethal damage next turn. But they're pondering because they have to ponder. So this gives us, that puts them what, to 7, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they are 1 damage shy of being dead next turn. If they crack that fetch land, they are dead next turn. But if they crack that fetch land, it probably means they're going to win the game this turn. Or at least have an attempt. Alright, so they're going to try and win the game this turn. And we're going to try and Sheoldred the Apocalypse our opponent. Oh, wow. Okay, here comes a Ponder. We're going to get another ping off. Our opponent is just all in on finding what they need here. I have to imagine it's the show and tell they're looking for. Alright, they just didn't have it. Okay, I'll take that. So, show and tell. Well, Omni-tell, I should say. I like the Sheoldred, and I like the Disruptor Flutes. I don't like Fatal Pushes, so they can come out. So they become Disruptor Flutes. And if we want this Sheoldred, how do we fit that one in? Can we fit that one in? No. Okay, so let's just have this. That's fine. So Disruptor Flute we name Show and Tell. They basically have to cast Show and Tell to win. They don't have an alternative plan like Sneak Attack. Thoughtseize into... Oh yeah, this hand slaps. Let's go after it. So this is a turn 2 combo. If we want it. Let's Thoughtseize and see where the dust lies. Just show me that you can't go off and you don't have counter magic. And then we get one another turn. That's all I need to see here. They're probably going to Brainstorm and hide. We could have played out their Lotus Petal and threatened. Or they're just spell piercing us. Okay. So no to that one then. This is just Ancient Tomb. Send it. That would obviously beat us. Alright, Lorien Reveal. They're not sending it this turn unless they have a Lotus Petal, but I don't think you would be cycling your Lorien Revealed if you could send it this turn. Okay. I don't know if we're going for the combo, if we're just playing out a Bowmasters here. It's kind of sketchy. If we go for the Bowmasters... So why would they keep their hand, right? They didn't have a turn 2 send. They didn't have a land apart from the one they got with this. So I think they have the send, they just don't have enough lands for it. So that means we can probably account for 2 of the cards in their hand. It's going to be like Show and Tell plus Omniscience or Atraxa. And then that leaves 3 other cards, which could be a varying selection of bits and pieces. Do we want to try and test the wall? We haven't tested them with counter spells that much yet. Am I going to regret this if I pass the turn without attempting it? I think we're going to pass the turn and try and bait our counter spell with this Bowmaster. Sometimes they go for their combo and they have to pass the turn. Okay. Let's go and get ourselves a Bayou. Our opponent's not going to impact our mana base either, so that's nice to know. Let's go for the old Bowmasters. Ping you down. They don't seem interested in fighting over that. A Verdant Catacombs. This allows us to play around some bits of permission. Our hand's probably full of like stock ups and stuff. Alright, I think we go for it this time. The longer we wait, the worse it gets for us. We miss out on 1 card here. Right, we're playing around Days, which I don't even know if our opponent's going to be running in any reasonable amounts of numbers. Do we just get you or not? There's a very long pause here. Veil of Summer. This is going to let us ping our little Bowmaster again. So they're going to draw a card. So they're looking for an answer, is what this is. And then we target ourselves again. And then we just keep doing this. This is quite a quick one to click through as combos go. So we just loop this 13 times and our opponent dies. And they're scooping it up a couple of loops in. And we managed to get the match. When we had hands like that one, that feels alright. I felt like that hand might have been able to even take on a Blue Bat Reanimator player. Let's go to round 4. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from team trios to old school and pre-modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend ran by one of the best TOs in Europe. Alright, round 4. Again, we have a hand that looks a bit nicer here. Leading off with a good old-fashioned Duress. Oh, Legolas's quick reflexes. Scale up. What's going on here? I guess we take the reflexes. Okay, we got something a bit peculiar happening. What is the scale up in aid of? I guess if you make your Scythecat Cub a 6/5 with a bunch of counters on it, then it's pretty large. And it does have trample, so you're going to push through with that. And then if you start like quick reflexing it, then you end up doing damage to pretty much anything that will kill it. Like you can probably wipe a Murktide Regent off if you scaled up first. When you get your attacking with it and you get to deal damage. Okay. Reveals Wooded Foothills. So this is going to be some sort of land into Elvish Reclaimer. I imagine it's a fetch land so they can start the ball rolling on getting lands in the graveyard for the Reclaimer. I imagine they're more likely to be a black-green deck than a red-green deck. So this is probably going to fetch them... Oh, it is a Tiger. I was just wrong. Oh, okay. Is that what we're doing? I see. I see. Wasteland doesn't feel like a place I want to be putting my resources in right now. So I think this is going to be hitting this with a removal spell. We know all of our opponent's cards right now. We want them to spend resources on this Hellhound if possible. Phil played this deck on his channel and it was kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't care about the Hellhound that much. I just take 2. The Scythecat Cub and the Reclaimer are scarier. Okay, you're going to play the Reclaimer out as well? They are playing out the Reclaimer. There's some fetch lands over there. This is a lot of damage our opponent is representing now. I guess we have to Fatal Push whatever they... Got to Surveil land. I was going to say we have to Fatal Push whatever our opponent scales up. Right, let's crack this. We're going to get a Bayou. I want to leave a non-basic. Oh no, we don't. Do we want this? This gains us life. They're probably not attacking us. Yeah, this can block actually. I like this. Let's play this guy out. So, yeah, they're probably not going to be messing with our lands anyway. This will gain us 1 life off of our Fatal Push, which might also be relevant. So we're going to see Fetch Land, pumping both of these. They might go Scythe Catacombs first, and then Fetch Land, Scale Up. Or they might go Fetch Land, Scale Up, crack the Reclaimer, get another trigger. Let's have a quick peek at our sideboard. I guess Abrupt Decays are okay here. I don't think the Mindbreak Traps are going to be useful enough. Our opponent's deck kind of wants to try and clock people on turn 3 usually. So like the Step Links could be a 12-12, like a 12-13 this turn. Or, no, a 12-12? Yeah, because Scale Up is, oh, it's plus, it makes it 6-4. So a 12-10. The toughness doesn't matter. It can be 12 power. Alright, so they're going to pump their squad. Let's hope there's no Legolas' quick reflexes over there. I'm just going to take this damage. Scale Up is a sorcery anyway. No Chain of Smog. Very disappointing. So I guess we get our Surveil land now. I think we're in trouble. I really don't want to put the Witherbloom under the bus. And Dauthi Voidwalker can't go under the bus because he's got Shadow. So this is Flagstones they probably get here. Unless they want to phase out my blocker. They might just get another Fetch land here. Just they've got more shots at it. I think we're going to take like 8 this turn. But we are very much just trying to draw our Chain of Smog. Right. Here we are. They went to get a Fetch land for the next turn. That makes sense. We do just lose to the Legolas' quick reflexes. That's split second spells for you. It's just nice to play against something a little bit different, really. Sajiri's Step. This seems like a problem. So, how big can this get? So it's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I guess we have to kill this. We can't let them have a creature with Pro Black. I really don't want to have to block with this Witherbloom Apprentice, though. I'm surprised they didn't try and get the Scythe Catacombs before playing out their land. Okay, so they haven't used the Scale Up, so we can just take the 2 here. I'm not going to give up our combo piece. If they have a Talon Gates of Madara, that might explain why they're holding this up. I'm not really familiar enough with this deck to know what the builds look like. It's very fringe, sort of like a new thing people are doing. So we could Necrodominance for a very small amount of cards and then probably die on the following turn. I don't like that. Let's just try and draw the Chain of Smog naturally. A Fatal Push. Sure, that's okay. I'll play a Wasteland. This guy sure ain't blocking. So if they fetch like a weird tech land, we can Wasteland it. They're going for like a Cradle or something odd. It's interesting to crack this fetch land last turn just for the extra 2 points of damage. Obviously they've got a plan here. A Wasteland. Okay, I don't care about the Wasteland. We have plenty of mana. We can still fetch green with our hand as well. Scythe Catacombs. Yep. Alright, so we probably have to kill the Step Links here. So I think the Dauthi Voidwalker is maybe going to be a chump blocker soon. Maybe it should have been a chump blocker last turn. Just get these Akum Hellhound going. So we can take the 3 here. That's fine. Pushing damage here. They can almost overrun their Scale Up, you know. That's a bit spooky. A Lotus Petal. Is this whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, so we won't gain 1 life for this. Understood. Alright, let's get our Akum Hellhound. Plays Polluted Delta. So the plan is we block the Step Links with the Hellhound, and then we Fatal Push the Scythe Catacombs. Well, let's see what they get with this Elvish Reclaimer, and then we'll probably Wasteland whatever they get. This is going to make the Reclaimer a 3/4. A Bojuka Bog. I don't care about Bojuka Bog. It does get them another Scythe Catacombs trigger. I'm going to Wasteland to keep them off of overloaded scale up here. And I'm going to take out one of their red sources. If they have a fetch land here, it goes up to 4, and then it goes up to 6. Yeah, this gets a little bit spooky. I think we're okay though. There's a scale up, sure, 1 card in hand. If it's Legolas's quick reflexes, then we lose. Can I? This also gains us 1 life, but they could obviously just put another counter on it with the Windswept Teeth. What was the last card in your hand? Now, we're still in a horrible position, but we do just have a top deck that wins us the game. Is it worth getting the marginal thinning? I guess at this point, every little helps, right? Tifa. So this just gets bigger. It doubles its power and it has trample. Okay, I think we just fetched for the very marginal thinning. That is borderline non-existent, but it's above 0. A Wasteland. What does that do for us here? Can we continue playing this game? So next turn, this becomes a 2/3. Then it becomes... Oh, they didn't fetch a... They could have fetched up another fetch here. This becomes a 2/3. This becomes 2 power. Then it becomes 4 power. That's with trample. What are they finding here? A Talent Gate. So we don't have a blocker. So this is going to crack in for 3. This is going to crack in for 4. So if the 1 card in our opponent's hand doesn't do it... No, this cracks in for 5 right now. Because it's got a counter on it. Yes, this cracks in for 5. And then... Yeah, we're just dead here. Because they're just going to crack the fetch. Unless they don't have anything else to find. I guess we should have maybe made them play it out, but I think it is what it is. Abrupt Decays. These seem good. Let's have some of those. I like our combo. I like the Bowmasters pinging down their little guys. Dauthi Voidwalkers here seem like a liability. They can't block. We're on the play. Have a removal spell. Sure. I like having a removal spell. In fact, we have 2 removal spells. Now, the can't be countered of Abrupt Decay doesn't get around hexproof. Yeah, hexproof is what the Legacy Quick Reflexes does. That will still counter the Abrupt Decay. Okay, Bayou. Let's see what we're up to. We can kill next turn if things go well for us. We just need to draw Chain of Smog. Tifa Lockhart. Sure. Elvish Reclaimer. Just gonna hit that straight away. Fatal Push. Sure. I don't think I'm wasting this. I like having the mana available. Tifa Lockhart. Sure. Kill this. Problem is we're not really leveraging much of a game plan of our own. Like our deck kind of does nothing or it wins. Okay, that does some stuff, doesn't it? Start ritual out this Necro. And we're going to play this Lotus Petal, so we've got a bit more mana for next turn. We can go to the end step, and we can go and draw a bunch of cards. How many cards would I like to draw? I don't believe our opponent has haste stuff, so we just want to be able to win the game. Take 15 cards here. What are we doing here? So next turn, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. That's enough to do the combo. Did we actually hit the combo? Did I just assume we hit it, but we didn't? That's wild. What a world. Do I drought rich out anything right now? I don't think so. I think we just go to clean up. Because we can use our Bowmasters to like shoot our opponent's stuff. They have shown us Wastelands, so we're going to respect that a little bit. I don't really want things that make us lose life. We don't need multiple of these guys. Fast mana is probably better than a Verdant Catacombs here. We want the removal spells. And we want the Sheoldred. So we want Sheoldred, removal spell, removal spell, removal spell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 cards there. We need the Dark Ritual to make the Sheoldred though. So I guess we're discarding all of these things. We'll discard one of these so we can keep Swamp around. Okay. Getting weird. They're having a look through all the cards we exiled. A Tifa Lockhart, sure. And a Tiger. You can double the power, but it's not getting in this turn. That's okay with me. Play this one out. Let's go for a Dark Ritual. I think we'll go for Shoulder of the Apocalypse. We're going to go to our Necrodominance phase of the game. We're going to pay 4 life and then gain 8 life. If our opponent's running Lightning Bolts, then so be it, but I don't think our opponent's deck is doing that. Okay, so we have some gain life triggers. I think I will push this Tifa now. We can protect that if they had quick reflexes. They did not. Alright, so we have a pretty solid win condition. We have 2 removal spells in hand. I think we're okay here. We get to just draw lots of cards every turn with Sheoldred because we know that we're buying all the life back. And with the Necrodominance, you pay on resolution, so we'll know if our Sheoldred is going to be gaining us life once we've... All the triggers will go on. There won't be a chance where we don't get to do that. Once upon a time, hard cast. That's not where you want to be. You basically got to treat this deck a bit like Infect, where if you just keep the creatures down, then you're okay. Okay, that was successful enough. I think we just go again. Sheoldred was pretty good. Do I want another one? No, I don't think so. I think we just need to get everything out underneath us first. Like the Duress and the Thoughtseize are both pretty good. Like if we take a Crop Rotation or a Scale Up, we're basically buying ourselves a whole bunch of life, and obviously the Thoughtseize can take the threats in the first place. I don't think I can... Can I keep this? I don't think I can keep this. We need some starting mana, really. Okay, we're just going to mulligan to Oblivion, I guess. Am I going to mulligan to 3, or am I going to keep this hand that maybe interacts with our opponent? Well, that was a disaster. Okay, so we got Surveil Land, we got a Thoughtseize. It doesn't take much like a Necro. So we could have kept the first hand and like tried to put a Necro on the stack on turn 1. We're using our Lotus Petal. Maybe that's slightly better. But paying a bunch of life when we're on the draw is very scary to me. But I guess it's better than doing nothing here. Let's try and strip some damage out of our opponent's hand with this Thoughtseize. Elvish Reclaimer, Skyclave Pickaxe. So this is attaches, landfall, does some scary things. Yeah, we'll just take this. They got these Force of Vigors, which can stop our Necro. But we also... So if we'd have actually kept that Necro hand, we would have immediately lost the game. Because we wouldn't be able to play any spells. Alright. Rewarded for my due diligence of that mulligan, I think. Because we've got 8 removal spells and some Orcish Bowmasters, which will kill this. So we have a lot of ways of interacting with our opponent's creatures and slowing the game down to the point where we can draw the stuff that matters to actually win us the game. So I don't hate our spot. We got 12 very good draws, and Sheoldred is also fine, so I guess we can say 15 really good draws. We can just throw runner into combo pieces as well. Our opponent's not big on the interaction. Another Steplings. Are they going to play out the land this turn, or are they going to hold it for an attack? Alright, they're just going to play it now. They don't have to phase anything out. They're going to phase out their little guy so we can't kill it on our turn. But we'll still have a guy we can kill next turn anyway. And then they're going to crack in with the Steplings. A Dark Ritual. That's not the one, is it? So this is going to be a Surveil Land. And hopefully we can find something useful. Sheoldred has got a big body and is going to get in the way of these creatures. And we'll always trade with them because of Death Touch. Orcish Bowmaster can ping one down unless they play a fetch land that they don't crack. Another Steplings. But we know all the cards in their hand. So they don't actually get to attack for damage this turn. Okay. Let's get our Underground Mortuary. Come on, deck. Hook me up. Sure, I will take a removal spell. Please don't have a fetch land this turn. Once Upon a Time. That's the card they drew for turns. We still have perfect information. They're probably just going to find any fetch land here. I would like to prevent some damage this turn, I think. We're just going to kill one of these while we're at it. We know our opponent's hand. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So we're going to take another hit here. Are they going to crack this Misty Rainforest? They're going to save it till next turn. They should crack it, right? And then play the Reclaimer. And then they can get landfall triggers next turn. Unless they're worried about us having, like, damnation type stuff. Which seems very unlikely, because they haven't seen Beseech the Mirror yet. Yep, they're going for the crack. So we're taking 8 this turn, and then they play the Reclaimer. which means we take 8 next turn as well. And I'm no mathematician, but our life total is certainly below 8. What do we need here? Sheoldred probably helps. Orcish Bowmasters. My hero and saviour. Alright, so this also gives us multiple bodies to block with. Put one of these down. We've bought ourselves some time. How much time? I don't know. But we know our opponent's got 2 blanks in hand. Right, they're playing a forest. So they're probably going to attack and then they can reclaim her and pump it. We're just going to put an Orc army under the bus. And next time we can put an Orcish Bowmaster under the bus. A weirdly long game, or round this one has been. A Polluted Delta. We don't have anything good to go with that, do we? No more Surveil lands. Okay. So they go and get a fetch land here at the end step. Probably sacrificing their Talon Gates. And we're going to put our Orcish Bowmaster very much under the bus here. We know they've got a Sidiri step as well in their deck. So if they get a fetch land here, that's 2, 4, 6. If they draw a land for 10, 8. So we're dead to our opponent drawing a land. We also can't crack this Polluted Delta either. I think we're going to die. But we did mull to 4. Oh, they got Wasteland. That's kind of weird. I guess they don't know that we've just got nothing but mana in hand. But I'm grateful to see that and not a fetch land. Right, so they're playing in regular land here. This is 2 damage. If they get a fetch land next turn, then they can go into Sidiri step and just kill us. I think we just have to take the... Oh, the Reclaimer's coming in. I'm going to block their 3-4. Is the marginal thinning better than saving life here? I'm not sure it is. A swamp. Okay, so if our opponent has a land, we die. If they don't, then we're okay. I say okay. We get to live for 1 more turn. But that's okay in the terms of this game. That crop rotation kills us pretty handily as well. Just a Reclaimer getting in. Sure. We got 1 turn. These things... how do we... I guess we crack this just for the marginal thinning. There's not really much difference between 2 and 1 in this current board state. I think we are very dead here. A Wasteland. Yep. Could not get over the finish line there. Like, we did mull to 4. It was a bit tricky. We kind of drew a lot of blanks after, like, starting out okay there. Yeah, quite hard to piece this deck together. So our record at the moment is 1 and 3. So a pretty poor record all round. But we've got 1 more round, so some pity points might be on our way. Let's see if we can get them. We're on the play. We need a little bit of mana to get this Necro, but I believe in the power of many Thoughtseizes into my opponent's face. Let's fire him with a Thoughtseize first. What are you working with? Brainstorm and a Ponder. I'm going to take this Brainstorm because you really need to fix your hand. Okay, I could play this Petal and then Duress them as well. I don't think we need to do that. But yeah, they've kept 5 lands, so I'm going to punish that with that Thoughtseize. Let's see what we do with this Ponder. We want to see a shuffle here. And then we can just go in and remove the next card they have. So this looks like a blue-red Delver matchup. To me, it could be a show and tell deck, but I don't think a show and tell player would keep that. Maybe. Okay, they didn't shuffle off the Ponder. Fatal Push, not really the one we wanted. Alright, back in with the Thoughtseize again. A Tamiyo and a Dragon's Rage Channeler. That sort of turned around from there, didn't it? I will get rid of this Tamiyo. Do I wasteland my opponent here? What does that actually achieve for us? I don't know. I don't think we do. Like, our opponent's got lots of lands, so wastelanding them doesn't do anything. It just slows both of us down a turn. And then our opponent gets to draw out of this horrible funk they're in. Alright, we got a Ponder to follow up the Channeler. It's pretty good. Like, this wasteland is better off paying around Daisies for us. They decline to use Ponder's ability again. Another Fatal Push. Right. Our hand is really not coming together here. I will play this out. I don't think they're going to have ways of destroying it in the main deck, but they might have ways of countering it. If they counter it at clutch time, that would be really annoying. Like, Spell Pierce is also a thing. Alright, so they have a Tamiyo. We've got 3 cards in hand. One of them is a mystery. Ah, dear, oh dear. I think we just fire him with the Fatal Push here. If they've got a Brainstorm, then sure, I can just park myself in the dirt and mound it up upon me. But They did not. So, oh, they didn't get Surveil Land at end step, which means they like the card that's the next one down, which means Murktide? That would make the most sense. No, nothing. Okay, can we find just some good old-fashioned black mana here? Apparently not. So what they got? Creature, instant sorcery. So this is going to be land. So they got 4 card types now, so our Bowmasters does not kill a Dragon's Rage Channeler anymore. But we've kind of been sat with this for a while, so we might be able to sneak this Bowmasters in. Don't mind if I do a daze. I will pay for this. I think it is worth it here. Oh, they really got another one. They did have another one. Yikes. The 2 mystery cards in their hand with both days. Well, sure. Sometimes that's going to happen. And that cost us a Lotus Petal. Disgusting. I suppose they don't have this Float Strand anymore. Dauthi Voidwalker, you do nothing. Can I get some mana? Corey Steelcutter. Have you got another spell to go with that? They do as well. Why wouldn't they have a spell to go with it? Sure. I'm just jealous my opponent's playing a real deck. And I'm not particularly convinced in the quality of the deck that we're playing today. Does not really feel very strong. Oh my lord, a swamp. An actual swamp. Okay, so we can get this Dauthi Voidwalker now that they've already got a stocked graveyard. Cool. I'm not going to win this race at all. We're going to need to find something else. Yeah, they're going to crack for 2. No ponders or anything. They got a creature to follow up with. I think if they had a Murktide, they would have played Murktide and equipped Steelcutter. A Dark Ritual. Let's Duress our opponent first. And then we can Dark Ritual something out. Okay, Force of Will. That can get out of here. So now we will Dark Ritual into Necrodominance. And we're going to pay some amount of life. We're going to hold back this Dauthi Voidwalker. I think we're trying to combo our opponent out here. So we have a Force of Will we can cast for free. So what are we worried about? This can hit us for 3 life, possibly 4. So if we take 6, then that's probably the best we have. Okay. I can work with this. We're going to get rid of this Necro and this Dauthi. And then next turn we can start doing Sheoldred the Apocalypse things. And that should hopefully run away with the game. But they can play this land. If they play land and try and hardcast Force of Will, then we have this Force of Will underneath this Dauthi Voidwalker, which is why we didn't attack with it, so that we don't just get killed by a lightning bolt this turn. Flooded Strand. I'm going to take 2. Yep, not a fan of that, but it is what it is. Okay, so we crack this. We should have got rid of the Thoughtseize. Why don't I get rid of the Thoughtseize? We'll get a Bayou here. We cast this Sheoldred the Apocalypse. And we get to go up to 3 life. Okay, so we're going to trade our Dauthi Voidwalker for this Force of Will in our opponent's hand. If they got days, then sure, you drew your 3 dazes in the right order at the right time, and we die. That's okay. That's Magic the Gathering. Yep, I'd rather they grow their monk on this turn rather than ours. Okay. Rather on theirs. Let's Force of Will. Let's Force of Will, their Force of Will. Sheoldred comes in. We get to draw 1 card here. And it was awful. Cool. But we have a pretty big body. We're just getting borrowed. They could play a Murktide here. And then just equip it and kill us. That's what's going to happen. Because this gives haste. And trample. Yep, and they are aware of how the cards in their own deck works. Sure. Well, we gave it a good fight. Like, the double days turn was absolutely brutal. But that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Okay, I like these things. Dauthi Voidwalker is fine. Maybe we don't want the Duress, the Thoughtseizes, and I don't think we want the Wasteland. It's just going to be pain for our spells. And we'll try this. Just have a bunch of removal in and a Sheoldred to go big. Turn 1 Force of Will check for our opponent to pass. Isn't bad. Let's cast this Lotus Petal. Cast the Dark Ritual. Cast the Necro. Okay. We're just going to take a little 5 life, I think, for now. We're going to clean up. I'll lose this Necro. 1 mana, 2 mana. We get rid of one of these lands. We get rid of another land with the intention of playing another land turn after. A Ponder. Sure, that's a nice slow start for our opponent. A Bauble. Sure. So we could Duress and Smog our opponent. We can Bowmasters in response to this draw trigger they're about to get, which I quite like. Alright, we'll ping them. We'll draw a card and we'll ping you again. So now we're on board. We've got a decent sized body. We're shutting off their cantrips. We get to... I don't think we need to get a Bayou here. Just get another swamp and fire in a Duress. Okay, we've got a Daze. I don't particularly like that one. We can just take the Daze. Like, our mana is a little bit sketchy right now. And then we can just draw some cards. How many are we going to draw? I think 6 is a good number. Okay, so we get a clean up here. We don't need a second Sheoldred. We have the combo here next turn. So we probably don't need the Dauthi Voidwalker anymore. Maybe that means we don't need the Fatal Push. Okay. So we're banking on our opponent's one card not being good. Oh, Corey Steelcutter is their card for turn. Okay, so we just have the game. Excellent. Unless they want to crack this Mishra's Bauble, which I don't think they want to do into our Bowmasters. I'm happy to make this trade as well. Let's crack this. Gonna get Bayou. Get Lotus Petal. Cast this little friend. Chain of Smog ourselves. Gain some life. Drain them out. Alright. That was reasonable. Can we do it again? Let's hope so. Maybe 4 Sheoldred is too many. But if we get in like a trading matchup, it ends up being okay here. Does our opponent want to just eat Chain of Smog to the face? Maybe. Please play a Ponder. Don't be doing threats on turn 1. Okay, it's a Ponder. Step 1 achieved. What are we doing here? Probably Surveil Land. Can we afford to get Wastelanded though in this game? I don't know if we can, but our hand is kind of medium. Let's try and Surveil Land. Like, we don't have to Surveil Land, we can just get a swamp. Okay, nothing there from our opponent. Feels like they have a lot of interaction. Dark Ritual, I don't mind that. Let's try and soften our opponent up with a Chain of Smog. Like, worst case scenario, we trade 1 for 1 with Daze, I think. A Lightning Bolt and a Force of Negation. They did not want to send it back. Usually the correct thing to do is to not send that one back. We could be building up for a big Murktide here. That's kind of worst case scenario for us. Because we just don't have anything that interacts with Murktide. So we need to try and combo them. Which we might be able to do. A Wasteland. Yep. Don't like that very much. And the Murktide. Yep. Yeah, our opponent's deck is the sort of thing that we've been losing to all day, where it's just got really efficient trading pieces and we end up, you know, with some really clunky looking hands. An Abrupt Decay. I guess it's like big Necro time. We're doing this and playing around Daze. I assume they've kept some sort of interaction. There it is. Okay, so we take 6, then we take 6, then we take 6, then we die. If we crack a fetch land, then we die a turn earlier. We're probably going to need to crack a fetch land. Bayou. Okay, I will play out this Bayou. We have a plan. It is draw our Witherbloom Apprentice and kill our opponents. So this is 6 on the next turn. Abrupt Decay, pretty bad at killing Murktide Regent. It used to be where Abrupt Decay would kill all of the threats in Delver. And then they started playing these big boys. So, do we have any way of beating this? Checking our deck list, we have nothing that is going to help us. And we can't cast a Sheoldred with the mana, so we should crack this for the marginal thinning capabilities. And we got nothing, we die. Cool. Yeah, absolutely bodied by the blue-red Delver there. We did get a game off of them there, which is something. So at the end of this league, we went 1-4, and you can probably imagine my thoughts on this deck. We got absolutely crushed by Blue-Black Reanimator. Like, it wasn't even a game. Now, we did have some weak hands, and our opponents did have some good hands, but I would say, if you were to play 100 matches versus Blue-Black Reanimator with this deck, I would be amazed if you won more than 30. This does not feel like the sort of deck you want to be playing into a highly disruptive, aggressive tempo-y style deck. And obviously, Blue-Red Delver kind of showed a similar thing. Let's have a look at our deck. So, the problem we have here is we have a lot of disparate pieces, right? So, the Chain of Smog and Witherbloom Apprentice combo, we assemble that, we win the game. That's pretty nice. But on its own, Witherbloom Apprentice is rubbish. And Chain of Smog on its own is sometimes okay. Like, you can just point at your opponent and make him discard some cards. But it does sometimes feel bad if you're not holding this to combo. So you need to be in a position where using this to hit your opponent's hand is worth it rather than holding it for the combo, which actually doesn't come up that often. Orcish Bowmasters, great magic card. Dauthi Voidwalker, great magic card. Thoughtseize, great magic card. So we've got some good stuff here. But then, if we look at Necrodominance here, what is Necrodominance actually doing for us? So if we like play Necrodominance and draw a bunch of cards, how does that actually impact our hand? What we do is we draw a bunch of cards and we filter for 5 because we're not playing anything in step. We don't have any pitch spells like the pitch black deck does. So this is just like a big draw engine to try and find us our combo. But obviously it comes at quite the cost because we're paying a whole bunch of life into it. And it's costing us 3 mana and quite often a Dark Ritual, which might be a thing we need to power out our combo, but obviously we can draw lots of cards. Assembling it with Sheoldred is great. I like that combo. But the Necrodominance here feels like it's trying to be like a fair draw engine. And it's just a little bit sketchy, right? Because we draw a bunch of cards, we don't get to keep them all, but we still pay a bunch of life. So we get a lot of wasted life looking for this. You could just run, if you're just looking for specific cards, you could even run things like Plunge into Darkness, which isn't a great card by any stretch of the imagination, but you could use something like that and dig however many cards you want to dig for a single card at instant speed. And that's cheaper than Necrodominance, and so it's not going to burn your Dark Ritual. I'm not suggesting that's what you should be doing here. Like, I think this deck might be better if it was like a Spores of the Vault deck, which does a very similar thing to this. Obviously, you know, the Necrodominance can build us up some other resources and things. But yeah, I just feel like it's very possible for this deck to not really do what it's supposed to do. Now, when it does do its thing, like we had one round where our deck functioned really nicely and we crushed, and it felt great. And then we had that one game against Blue Red Delver where it felt pretty good, where we managed to sort of squeeze through our little combo. But generally speaking, it feels like this deck is very easy to break apart, and I'm just not really convinced that this is somewhere I'd like to go. Like, there's lots of really good, mostly black decks in the format right now. You can play the mono-black stompy builds. There's like more aggro builds, more stompy builds. There's a variation of different stuff you can play there. You can play the pitch black necro deck. That deck is fine and does necro stuff better than this. It just feels like there's a whole bunch of stuff that do all the things we're doing here, but better. Like, there's even a better Chain of Smog deck. The mono-black reanimator deck that splashes green for the Sideboard Witherbloom Apprentice plan. I think that's way better at assembling Witherbloom Apprentice than we are, and it uses Spores of the Vault to do so. And I think that if you want to play Chain of Smog, that's where you can play it. I know one of the big Reanimator players that likes that deck has played the sideboard of the Witherbloom Apprentice in their main deck before. And then obviously everyone's been like, oh, it's this person, I need to have my Graveyard Hate. And they just get absolutely bodied by the Witherbloom Apprentice. So I think if you want to play Witherbloom Apprentice, there's a slot for it. You want to play Necrodominance, you can do that. You want to play Bowmasters and Dauthi Voidwalker, you can do that. There's lots of different shells that you can play all these things in. And this just feels like an amalgamation of them all, but kind of worse than the sum of its parts. If everything lines up right, this deck is great. But I think it's so easy for things not to line up that you're going to end up losing a lot of games. And I'm kind of amazed that this managed to top 8 a challenge, really. But you do sometimes see some weird stuff. It's a sweet list in terms of like what they've tried to do with it. It just doesn't really function. I appreciate people trying new stuff, and I am in awe of somebody managed to top 8 a challenge with this one. But I can't really see this becoming a staple deck in the metagame or something that you have to keep your eyes on, really. Okay, I hope you enjoyed something a bit spicy today. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbodepths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbodepths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.